Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes, bringing you another Old Man Orange Presents Via VHS episode. One of them from the rarities vault that we have from back in the day that just never got put out. So come join us for another fun-filled retro movie review. Let's jump on in.
So welcome to another episode of the Via VHS Retro Movie Podcast on what might be a review of Heavyweights. We don't know. The internet's saying maybe, maybe not. It's up in the air, but we're going to give this one the old college try because this is a movie I love. And this is, we're continuing our summer series or pre-summer series. Only Via VHS gives you a summer series in late spring. So we are ready to go. And we've been having a lot of summer fun, and we're wrapping things up with Heavyweights this week. We've had Dazed and Confused. We've had Bash at the Beach. What else did we do?
We did Surf Ninjas.
Surf Ninjas. Yeah.
So the one thing I realized is what we also did too is our pre-summer party bash, whatever you want to call it. We just hammered hard 1993 to 95. I didn't think about it, but I'm like, everything we did was in that block. You know what I mean? So we had a very specific summertime that was being had.
Well, early 90s summer was a vibe. It was. Mm-hmm. It was had that neon ooze kind of like vibe, you know what I'm saying? So, surfing, ninjas, that kind of stuff, basketball.
Colorful imagery, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I mean,
Gecko Hawaii.
Yeah, Gecko Hawaii. Look at the sticker right over here. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we didn't mean to do that. We're definitely going to branch out into some more obscure stuff. Once they actually hit summer, we'll stop with the summer movies, and we'll just jump out into some 80s fare, some 70s fare, some stuff like that. So, but I'm excited to talk about this one because this is one I watched a lot growing up. And it's filmed in North Carolina. So a lot of nostalgic things about, there's some really, really nostalgic things about the North Carolina stuff in this one. And some stuff I didn't even realize till I watched this time. I'm like, oh, wow. I've actually been to that spot that they are in and I didn't even realize it until I was watching it this time. I'm like, oh, I know where they are. So there was some cool stuff like that. But, I'm your host, Wesley, as always, joined by Spencer Scott Holmes. And did you watch this one growing up?
Yeah, I definitely did watch this one growing up as a kid and so on like that. And I hadn't seen it in a while, so it was kind of nice to go back to it, though I do remember it pretty fondly. Probably the last time I probably caught it was maybe high school era, mid-2000s or something like that. But yeah, no, it's just a great classic film, kind of underrated too. You hear a lot about Sandlot, you hear a lot about some other ones in that time period, Mighty Ducks, of course, but Heavyweights is something special. And it's always one of those movies too, you kind of watch it this day and age and it's like they have some stuff going on here, be like, oh, this would be a tough movie to try to make nowadays. It's sensitive topics here.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, you couldn't get kids to be as good spirited about, all that, and being called fat kids and, making all the fat jokes. And some of them are like, even when I watch it now, I'm like, okay, you have to make them fart all the time. Like, like, you know what I mean? Like they're not. And then they're always like super terrible at sports, like really, really bad. Like just because you're fat doesn't mean you don't have any coordination or
Well, yeah, that's the thing I always think too. I'm like, because I'm like, it's funny because I see like the sort of the main character and my buddy Kyle, who Pizza Boys Kyle, is behind me there. But back when we were kids, Kyle was the chunky boy. At one point he literally weighed 3 times more my weight, so he was 240 pounds. And I was the skinny kid. But here's the difference, though, is Kyle was the big boy who was also extraordinarily athletic. So he was also the top 5 sports players in school. He literally kicked a field goal at Raider Stadium. So so it goes to show that you can be the heavyweight guy and also be the champ of baseball, football, yada yada yada.
Yeah, sometimes it helps. That was one thing about this movie. I always bothered me. And so there's some things that are a tough sell, but some things are a tough sell good for a good reason, you know, because there's some stereotypes in there that just kind of, but overall, I think this is an uplifting, you know, good spirited film. And one thing I didn't really pay attention to till this time I watched it is Judd Apatow.
Yeah.
And, you know, being involved in writing this movie. And you definitely see similarities to this with other stuff that he's done. And it made total sense when I saw that. And it's got like, it crosses over to some of the, you know, other Disney stuff, particularly Mighty Ducks. You have a lot of this Mighty Ducks cast in this. But also it kind of crosses over to, you know, a lot of Happy Madison stuff. Because, you know, same director and, you know, the Judd Apatow kind of stuff in there. So it kind of feels like almost like a Adam Sandler movie, but like very PG rated.
Yeah, no, it definitely has a lot of those pros in there because it's also got, oh, geez, what the heck's the guy's name? I'm just drawing a blank on it, but I always
Grandma's
like him
Boy.
Yeah, Alan Covert. There we go.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, dude, he's in this too. I forgot about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I always think that guy's like a super actor. You know, he's mostly always bit parts other than Grandma's Boy, but yeah, it's like one of those ones. There's all sorts of people in here. You know, of course, you got Ben Stiller. That's like the one that's like you totally remember him back in the days when he was literally the heel, like in every movie.
Well, this is one of my favorite Ben Stiller roles. First of all, he kills it in this.
Oh yeah, so much.
He's so hateable, but he's so funny in this. Like one thing about this movie is there's like a lot of times when you watch kid movies and you watch like cheap, cheesy movies, you have a lot of these like one-liner jokes with no zing. They have, what do they call it? The kids nowadays, they call it, it has no riz.
Oh, no riz. Okay.
It has no riz. You know, now, but this one does. Like, it has some funny jokes in here. Like, he came faster than the Bills in the Super Bowl and things like that, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a well-written movie, more coherent than some other Disney stuff, and it seems like this is one that you would like, oh, they just kind of threw this together to put on VHS and nobody's going to care. But you have some heavyweights in here. You have the Steelers in here, Judd Apatow involved. This is, when it comes to Disney movies, one of the, you know, better live action ones in the 90s.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. Like I would probably take this one over Mighty Ducks and even other ones too. Like I'm quite fond of this one. And don't get me wrong, I like Mighty Ducks, but
yeah, I'm very fond of this one too. I can't take it over Mighty Ducks or Cool Runnings, but I would think.
Oh, that's a tough one there too. Cool Runnings is a little bit different though, because I guess it's not like they're like kids.
yeah, it's, you know, like one thing I'll say about this with the Disney stuff. When people talk about the Renaissance, the Disney Renaissance, you know, they always talk about the animated movies, but people don't talk about how in the 90s, those live action movies, how Disney was churning them out. And they might have not made a whole lot at the box office. Some of them did okay, and this one did okay. But man, they would kill on VHS. And you know, you get people were watching these on repeat, just like they were Lion King and Aladdin and all those other ones. I mean, these movies did really, really, really well. They were just slightly more niche.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, Aladdin has that mass appeal. You get the boys in there, the girls in there. But this, you know, this one, you know, a little more niche, but this is a big part of the Disney Renaissance too. You have the animated stuff with Chip and Dale and DuckTales and all that. That was the first wave. And then Little Mermaid brings in the animated stuff. And I don't know what the first one for the live action stuff was, but this is definitely part of it.
Yeah, well, because there was just this really good era that kind of comes. It sounds weird, but it almost kind of comes post Steven Spielberg, but like where a lot of people kind of said like, hey, we can make some really good kids movies that are kind of like sophisticated kids movies, you know, where the kids themselves are great characters and they're not played dumb, they're played real and so on like that. And Disney just owned that real well in that early 90s. You know, they knew how to hit that proper, you know, make it almost like beyond just like, it's not just a kids movie. It's almost a little bit more of a family movie. Like, you know, you can get a little bit more enjoyment out of it, you know? And it's just, they just had like one after the other. But Disney also had just such a good pull with the VHS. Like they got that. They clearly understood the home movie market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they knew what it was going to be. They knew they were going to watch this shit on repeat and irritate the hell out of their parents. And, that's what it was. And I'll say another thing about Disney with the live action stuff. I know it wasn't perfect in this regard. I mean, I know there was some bad things that happened here and there, but I don't think we're ever going to hear the terrible, terrible things about, 90s Disney that we hear about 90s Nickelodeon now. I mean, I'm sure some of that stuff happened, and I know for a fact it did. I mean, things have come out, but, and stuff happened on Mickey Mouse Club and different things, but when I hear about Nickelodeon now, it's just like, oh my God, that was a dystopian hellscape. And, and, Kenan Thompson was in both. He was in, the Disney stuff, and he did Nickelodeon.
Yeah. And then, that's what's interesting, because Kenan's in this movie too. And it's like weird, because I was thinking this movie was a little bit earlier than it was. I was thinking it was 93. And then when I was looking, it's like, this movie came out in 95. Like, and Kenan's like, look how young he looks in this film. And it's like only 1 year later, he's doing, Kenan and Kel. You know what I mean? He's like a full on teenager in that. Granted, this movie shot like 1 year before it came out. So I guess that gives him about 2 years before then. But it's amazing that how he transferred, how he grows up so much in 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, he's doing Good Burger and, all that and all that stuff. I mean, it's crazy. And Kenan and Kel, obviously. I mean, man, he's been around forever, and he's. I wonder if he's the longest tenured SNL star yet. I know he's in the conversation.
Yeah, he's got to be so close. The funny thing too is, if you really think about it, he's probably one of the longest skit show kind of actors of all time, because think about it, that's all he's ever really done, because that's what all that was. That's what Kenan and Kel. Well, Kenan and Kel was a little more of a sitcom, but like all that was it was pretty much Saturday Night Live for kids. It was. So he's pretty much just been doing that game his like entire life. Yeah,
he's been doing that whole thing for long. I don't know how long all that lasted and how long he was on it, but it was a minute. And then SNL, off the top of my head, without looking this up, because I could look it up. I mean, Tim Meadows was on there a long time. Phil Hartman was on there a long time. There's been some others that lasted for years and years and years. But he's got to be in the conversation. He's just been part of, like, if you grew up when we grew up, he's been around for us forever.
Yeah.
And he grew up with us. So he was in all the content we were watching when we were kids. And then you get older and he's in SNL. It's just, he's always been there.
Well, the thing too is because that he's just not that much older than us too, so it's like it's one of those weird ones where it's like almost feels like you can relate to him, just what I mean, even though it's all through TV.
How old is he?
He's 78 is when he was born, so he's 46.
Oh, he's old.
I looked this up, because I was kind of wondering that too, but then I was like, I guess that's true. So so he's just a little bit of a decade above me, and then 6 years above you. Then
Seven.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. Okay, I got till December, motherfucker.
There we go.
I'm holding on. that first digit. I like that first digit being a 3. I'm holding on to it.
Yeah.
For another few months. Oh man, that's gonna be a rough one.
It's be a change.
It will be. I'm not ready for it.
I think about this is speaking of Saturday Night Live, you remember that skit of like the middle-aged man one where he's running down the street and it's going middle-aged man? Like that's what I feel like is coming up. Is like am I gonna become like that guy right there, just running down the street aimlessly?
What was it? Recently they did a skit. It was one of the Funhouse skits. And it was middle-aged mutant ninja turtles, middle-aged mutant ninja turtles. And I can't remember how the song went, but it was hilarious. They did a whole thing about them being middle-aged. One of them has like a gambling problem. And like, it was terrible. But yeah, middle-aged mutant ninja turtles. Wow. It's got dark. How about we jump into the rewind review?
Yeah. Let's go back to young Kenan.
Yeah, let's go back to young Kenan. 46. I'm just not. He's older than I thought he was.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like it's that thing that sometimes when you're watching somebody on TV, you look at them like they're the same age as you, but a lot of times you're kind of like watching them just a couple years prior, though you're putting it in the same context as you, so it almost equals itself out. Like, I notice that happens with a lot of times. I'll watch movies, and then you have to go, wait a second, I'm watching this movie, but I'm watching it kind of a couple years past when it was made, you know. So the age range is almost like changed in this process.
That's true too, but you know, a lot of those child stars age pretty terribly. Of course, I'm sorry, it's just true. Black don't crack, so there's that too.
Yeah,
so,
well, he's not like John Connor, Edward Furlong.
No, God, Edward Furlong, dear Lord, holy God, how old is he?
He's probably about the same age, and every time I run into Eddie, he's always kind of, he's making bank, so I don't know what's he's blowing his money on. He's charging $100. How much? Or he's 46.
He's 46 as well.
Okay, so him and Kenan together, you know. But old Eddie there, God, he's just always out smoking cigarettes. I'm pretty sure he wears the same shirt everywhere he goes. Every time I've seen him, he's always got that same Misfit shirt on.
Oh, you mean you literally see him?
I literally see him like at Comic-Cons. He's been in a handful of ones where he's got a booth not too far away from me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, so. Eddie. Yeah. No, Kenan's aged a little better. There is the melanin thing, but I mean, you know.
Yeah. There's also the drug thing, but
yeah, there's that, you know, and you know, Kenan's just his drug is entertainment. His drug is like, I want to make you laugh. What's up with that?
Yeah.
What's up with that? Hey. I'm going to say this, and we'll move on from Kenan Thompson. As somebody who is a passionate Saturday Night Live connoisseur, I love Saturday Night Live. He is somebody who, for the longest time, I did not think was funny on that show. I just didn't like him on the show. And then toward the past, later in the career, though, he's become really, really good. He's got some Black Jeopardy. I don't know if you've seen that skit.
I have seen some of those.
Yeah, he's great. He has perfect timing in that. What's up with that? It's another little thing that he does. But he's always you put him in any of the big skits that are running at that, the Californians. He had a little spot in that. I don't know if you've seen the Californians.
I don't know. I see very little of like the last 2 decades, I think, of Saturday Night Live, because it's like, it's weird. It's like, as much as I loved the 80s and 90s like so much and watched it so religiously when I was a kid, and same with the 70s even too. But it's like when Saturday Night Live kind of started to roll into the 2000s, it's like it lost me, and then it never really kind of got me back. Every once in a while, I'll see a skit here and there. I'm like, okay, that's pretty good, but for the most part, it's just the show. I feel like it changed audiences over time
a little bit, but I will say in the late 2000s to the like mid 2010s, the girls were running it. It was Amy Poehler and Tina Fey and Kristen.
I think that's because that was the time. I didn't like any of them very much.
Oh man, Kristen Wiig
Wiig's okay. Actually, she's not bad. I just don't like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler very much. I never found them funny.
I can kind of get that. I like Maya Rudolph and Kristen Wiig, and to me, Kristen Wiig's a top 5 cast member. Period. Like man or a woman, she's in there for me. But yeah, so sorry, that's our Saturday Night Live break. We're going to do a Saturday Night Live retrospective.
Oh, we are. One of these days, I'm looking forward to this.
No, I think we might do that actually really soon, because I've been itching to really, really bad 90s SNL, because I want you to watch the Crystal Gravy, the Crystal Gravy skit, because it's from making fun of the Crystal Pepsi with Van Halen commercial.
Oh yeah.
And but it's Crystal Gravy. It's fucking hilarious.
Well, see, I'm looking forward to it, because it's been so long since I watched so many of these things that I feel like they're going to be refreshed, and I'm going to remember all this good stuff that, like, I used to just watch all the time, like, on just repeat on VH1 and whatever else they had them playing on for.
It was everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Back in the day, you used to be able to. It was on syndication all the time.
Yeah. Saturday Night Live was on Comedy Central, VH1, and then I feel like it ended up somewhere else too. Maybe Spike TV for a minute. I don't know.
Probably.
Remember that thing?
Spike TV. When it used to be okay to have a man channel.
Yeah, man channel.
I feel like that was like the last time period that was going to be allowed. Past that point, even there was a show called The Man Show with Joe Rogan on and everything like that for a brief 6 months.
Had Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh yeah.
See, I liked Adam Carolla, but Jimmy Kimmel's never. I'm gonna say fuck Jimmy Kimmel. It's not a political thing. Everybody's going to take it there. It's not. It's just
Yeah.
But Heavyweights released February 17th, 1995. If you never listened to our flashback portal or whatever we call it, I don't even know what it's called anymore. We go back to the week the film was released, and we just kind of relive some of the pop culture that was around it. I'm not even looking up the music this week because it's mid-90s. Newsflash, it's going to be R&B.
Yeah.
So that's your top 10.
That's the only thing that was making the big bucks then.
Yeah. Number one at the box office, the Brady Bunch movie.
This was a big deal movie back then.
It was, actually.
I was already big into Brady Bunch just from TV land, but Brady Bunch movie right then and there.
Brady Bunch movie has the girl, I can't remember her name, the one that married Ben Stiller.
Mm-hmm.
And she plays Marsha. Man.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's one of those ones you had to been there. If you don't know what we're talking about, you know. There was just an experience in life you just weren't part of.
Swing. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. That's not even my thing. She's not even my type.
No, not at all. But she just pulls off the Marsha character so well.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. So Just Cause, number 2 at the box office. What is this?
That's what it's got. I've never seen it, but yeah, it's got Sean Connery in it. It's Finding Just Cause. I think Lawrence Fishburne's in it as well too. I've seen it's like one of those movies I've seen the cover, but I've never watched the movie.
Heavyweights. Number 3.
Heavyweights coming in right behind Sean Connery there.
Yeah. Making $5 million less, though. Each one made $5 million less. Has a $7 million debut. But, Disney's probably just trying to break even at the box office with this. This is VHS fare.
Yeah, this is the ones like, hey, if they can pretty much pay for the movie in the box office, everything else is just going to be, gold.
Mm-hmm. You have a lot of crossovers here because you have Ben Stiller's wife is in the Brady Bunch movie, and Ben Stiller's in Heavyweights. And then number 4 on the box office, you have Billy Madison, which there's obviously a lot of crossovers there with Heavyweights and just a whole Happy Madison. It feels like a Happy Madison movie.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, granted, the director of Heavyweights went on to direct a bunch of Adam Sandler ones later in the day.
Little Nicky and such.
Yeah.
Number 5 at the box office, a movie that I really wanted to love and hated tremendously was Quick and the Dead.
Oh, yeah. Reviewed that not too long ago.
Yeah. Go watch it, though. But
it still has a lot of interesting stuff in it, though. It's one of those ones.
Definitely worth watching. There's some good stuff in it. I was really mad about some of the writing decisions they made.
Sam Raimi doing his Western.
Yeah, I wanted to love it. Because Sam Raimi. Legends of the Fall, which has been ripped off terribly by Yellowstone.
I love Legends of the Fall. I'm so bummed though that in my VHS copy though, I opened it late. It was like one of those movies that like was sitting brand new in my house for like the longest time, and then when I finally opened it, probably like in the 2000s to watch it, there was this like mail-in order for a sexy Brad Pitt poster that you could have got back in the day for like $6.95 plus shipping and handling, but it expired by like 97. I was so bummed.
Damn.
I'm like, I would have got that sexy Brad. Oh my gosh, yeah, because it was Brad Pitt. He was just like shirtless, long hair down. I was like, oh man. It's just funny because it's sold in Legend of the Fall. I mean, don't get me wrong, but like that movie's like a drama. You know what I mean? It's just such a weird film for that to be in.
I want to review that one soon because I don't remember it very well, but when people said it was that Yellowstone ripped it off, I'm like, oh, kinda. Yeah. But I mean, you'll never hear me slander Tyler Sheridan at all because I love all his stuff. Hell or High Water. Holy
That's a great movie right there.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was connected. That was that one that I remember me and Ryan came to that movie both late and we're like, dude, what the hell? That would have been like almost like the best movie of the year if we would have caught that. But like it just sort of came to theaters for like 5 days and then it was booted out and never seen again.
He has that kind of trilogy where it's not an official trilogy, but like Sicario, Hell or High Water, and Wind River.
Oh God, those are all great movies.
I've
seen all 3 of them.
Taylor Sheridan writes all 3. He directs the last of the 3. And then he's done Yellowstone. He's done a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, oh, I heard the name of Yellowstone. I did not connect him to the movies because I've seen all the movies and I like the movie parts a lot.
Yeah, he did. Did he write Sicario?
If he did, even if he's involved in that, anyways, that both those Sicarios were solid.
Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure that's right because I said that because I know Villeneuve directed it, but what the hell? Well, let me look it up. There we go. I mean, that movie's almost 10 years old. What the fuck? Yeah. Taylor Sheridan.
Okay.
Wrote that. Yeah. And he created Hell or High Water, Wind River, Yellowstone, Sicario, and stuff. And Those Who Wish Me Dead, which I've never watched.
Yeah, I've never seen that one.
Yeah. But yeah, Legends of the Fall, number 6. Just going down the lesser list. Boys on the Side, a little movie called Forrest Gump, a little movie called Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, these ones they're hanging on for so many weeks here, though.
Yeah. Dumb and Dumber, Lion King. I mean, stuff from like the year before, and then at number 20, making $27,004. A Great Day in Harlem. This little documentary.
Yeah, well, it's cool that the little movies like that probably only played in 1 or 2 cinemas. Like, hey, they still show up on the list.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit before the show, like how I'm impressed with Box Office Mojo because I talk shit about it a lot. Since IMDb bought it, they kind of messed it up a little bit. But I'm always impressed with the fact that I don't care if you made $12.82. You're going to show up on the list if you debuted, and they're going to have your poster. They're going to have all your information. Everything is there. It's impressive.
No, I love it. I think it's great that they did that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it just shows that, hey, you know what I mean? We'll respect anybody out there who's making a little bit of cash. You got a premiere, you made some cash, we'll show it.
Or maybe you didn't make cash.
Yeah, maybe you're not making a whole lot, but who knows?
Yeah. But there's your box office.
I will say there's 2 others I see on this list that strike or pique my interest a little bit. You got In the Mouth of Madness, which we reviewed, but I think it was a lost episode. But amazing, totally amazing film.
Love In the Mouth of Madness.
And then Street Fighter's on here as well too.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna shout out Street Fighter. I must have glazed over In the Mouth of Madness because I love that movie. And shout out to Sam Neill. I hope he's doing okay. I know he had a cancer diagnosis, but I'm not really sure.
I think it's good because I have his book that came out not too long ago, and he reads it himself, and he seems pretty cheerful and funny like throughout that. Yeah. So I'm assuming that means it's all good. Yeah,
but Sam Neill is amazing.
Yeah.
But this movie, Heavyweights, does not star Sam Neill. It has a lot of familiar faces that if you grew up in the 90s, you watch kids movies. I mean, you recognize a lot of these kids, and like I said, it has a lot of the same kids from Mighty Ducks, the Mighty Ducks trilogy. Tom McGowan plays Pat Finley. You got Aaron Schwartz plays the main character. He plays Jerry Garner. He's been in a lot of other stuff. He's in the Mighty Ducks as well, and it looks like he did some soap opera work there for a minute. And he makes a point, like, because he was the fat kid in this movie. Like most people, have their IMDb like pictures, like just a headshot.
Yeah,
it's just like. But this guy's like leaned back in a white tee. Like I was like, hey, I'm not that kid anymore. I'm not the kid from Heavyweights anymore.
Yeah, he's just like Anthony Michael Hall or whatever, who like really turned his life around.
Yeah, this guy's like, Ben Stiller plays Tony Perkis, and Tony Perkis Sr., who you'll see later in the movie. Cody Berger plays Cody. Tim Blake Nelson, who I forgot was in this for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was just watching an interview with him just the other day. How he got the role in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It was funny. But yeah, a lot of semi-recognizable faces. I always recognize David Bowie.
Oh, yeah.
He's somebody who shows up. He doesn't have a huge filmography, but it's the weirdest thing. He shows up so much when I'm looking at movies. He was in UHF, obviously, is what we know him from.
Yeah, that's what I always think of him mainly as.
Yeah.
Bob.
Yeah. But he's got actually a big filmography, but he's small parts. But he shows up so often on things that we're doing. Or things that are adjacent to things that we're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, David Bowie. I remember seeing it the first time for like a split second. David Bowie.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
that happens a lot when I see his name too. I think the same thing. Like, oh wait, never mind, it's David Bowie.
Yeah. I mean, I would love it if David Bowie is in this movie.
That'd be amazing. I mean, you could fit a lot of people into this kind of movie because you know what? Like these summer camp ones, like you just need eclectic characters and actors, and it's perfect.
What if David Bowie did like a whole album? He was in it, and he did like so I'm just gonna do a whole album for this movie, and they turned it to this big summer like blockbuster with a David Bowie album. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, Heavyweights, 1995. This one filmed in a lot of it in North Carolina, not far from a camp that I actually went to. It wasn't a fat camp; it was a Christian camp. It was even worse, and it was a really cool camp. I actually really, really enjoyed going, but it was interesting. But yeah, this is not that far from there. You know, definitely summertime in the mountains. I mean, it was really fun watching some of this because they're on the Blue Ridge Parkway for sure in a few spots. And there's the one scene too where Ben Stiller is doing where he's jumping like on the branch and he's finding his chi and he's in front of the sunset. That's a place called Flat Rock.
Oh, really?
And I didn't really, I was watching it and I'm like, I've been there. I've actually camped beside that spot. We made hobo burgers and we sat there and like, you know, hung out most of the day on that rock. And I was like, that's Flat Rock, I think. So he's not too far from where Last of the Mohicans was filmed.
Interesting.
But yeah, so it was, pretty cool to see some of that. Not too far from where Dirty Dancing was filmed also. So nice little Hollywood in the mountains of North Carolina.
I know it just feels like in North Carolina there probably because the state's small, just everything seems like there's so many things just right there. Boom, 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 boom. Where like, of course, there's tons of movies shot in California, but it's amazing how little of them sometimes like it feels like the farther north you get in California. It's like, oh yeah, there's these handful throughout the last 100 years, but you know.
Yeah. Well, North Carolina is, I think for a long time before Georgia kind of took over, was always like second place. It was like, because you kind of have everything there. You can go to the beach, you can go to the mountains. You got, you know, a lot of country aesthetic in the middle there that can kind of can work for any place. The Piedmont of North Carolina looks very, you know, generic. It's really pretty, but it's like it could be anywhere. Yeah. You could say it's Northeast and nobody's really going to, you know, argue with you. But yeah, this one was crazy at the beginning for me. Not only do you see Bojangles, which I'm always going to give Bojangles a shout out if it's going to happen. There was a big Bojangles sign, but the guy is wearing at the beginning, he's wearing that cut off Carolina Panthers jersey. Mm-hmm. And I was going to wear my Panthers jersey for this. That's what I meant to wear for the podcast, was my Panthers jersey. But that's crazy because this was filmed in 94. The Panthers hadn't played a game yet. They didn't start till 95. That's why the jersey number is 95. Yeah.
So that's like literally day one jersey.
Yeah. That's like they rolled out a bunch of prototypes of jerseys and different things that worked. One of them like was really funky, had these silver stripes on the side. And the Raiders tried to sue them. So that's why they put more blue in the uniform, because it was the Raiders were like, no, you can't do black and silver, you punk ass bitch. That's our thing. So the Raiders, Al Davis tried to sue them. And then their Jacksonville Jaguars got sued by Jaguar because their logo looked too much like the car company logo. Yeah. So we were all fucked, you know, it was all crazy. But yeah, that jersey, man, I'd love to have that thing because it was like one of the prototype looks. I mean, they never had a jersey that looked like that ever.
Yeah, it was probably one of those things too where it's just like at that time period they're like, oh hey, we're shooting in North Carolina, we'll throw some North Carolina stuff in there just to really make it pop. I mean, we got this new team coming out. By the time this movie comes out, it'll time out perfectly.
Yeah, and if they would have became cool, then Disney would have bought it. Like the Ducks and the didn't they own the Orlando Magic or something? I don't know if they own that. No, the Angels. It's the Angels.
Yeah,
the LA Angels they owned for a little bit. Of course.
And then the Ducks as well for LA's hockey team.
Yeah, the Mighty Ducks. Man, that logo that they had. Oh my God, best ever. But anyway, yeah. So that was really, really cool to see some of that stuff. But this is a fun summer movie. Like you said, it couldn't be made today because people would be too sensitive about it.
Yeah, because I mean, there was a part that makes me laugh so hard because, like in the very beginning, our main character, he's coming home, and he's pretty much he's coming home, and his parents are sitting there with this counselor thing, like he's sitting down for an intervention in a sense, and and they're like, "Hey, we need to talk about it." Like, he's like, "Oh, don't worry, man. I'm going out with friends. We're gonna have a great summertime." It's like, no. We're sending you somewhere else. The guy's like, "Hey, Tommy," or whatever. He's like, "Let me tell you all about this camp and everything like that." And they start showing the video. He's like, whoa, that's a fat camp or whatever. Dad's like, "It'll be good for you." And I just love the kid looks and he's like, "Why don't you go? You're fatter than me."
Jeffrey Tambor's dad, which is even better.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, there's some funny stuff at the first of this movie too. Like one of my favorite scenes. It doesn't, like I said, this does kind of bother me because like you're just saying, okay, you're fat, so that also makes you uncoordinated. Hello, Chris Farley existed at this exact same time. Chris Farley was one of the most agile motherfuckers ever. But that scene at the beginning, it is really good comedy. Is where he's trying to throw the ball over the fence. And he can't get it over the fence, and he drops down, and he does it again with like all his heart, and and everybody's like making fun of him, like you suck in the background, and then there's just like there's the one scene too. He's walking home before he goes to his intervention, and a dog tries to attack him, and I'm like, what is the meaning of that? Is it because he's fat? Like the dog's just like, I'm gonna bite this little pork chop son of a bitch. I don't understand what that was all about. But he has this rough walk home and drinks all this lemonade. But yeah, and then Tim Blake Nelson's the guy from the camp. That's kind of like trying to sell him on there.
Yeah.
So weird.
But it's a funny thing because it's like, you got this camp thing going on, but it's almost more like, hey, it is a fat kids camp, but it's a fun, like, pro kind of fat kid camp in a sense.
Yeah. He also says something that was very, he had to say it because he was in North Carolina, but he says, we're going to nip this in the bud, which is a Barney, that's quintessential. That's Barney Fife.
Yeah.
We're going to nip it in the bud. And that's something my Uncle Jody would say. We're going to nip it in the bud. That's it. Nip it in the bud. What does that mean? I don't know.
I always thought it was like a gardening like saying.
That's what I've always thought. I always thought it had like you nip it at the bud, like at the bud.
Yeah,
of the, I don't know. Nip it in the bud. Yeah, they say it all the time. Jeffrey Tambor says that. I was like, But yeah. So little Gerald gets sent to fat camp, and he thinks it's going to be the best summer ever. Like he's mad at first, but then he meets Kenan Thompson on the plane, and he's like, "Yeah, you're fat. You're going to fat camp." And he's like, "Okay, that's fine." And then the bus shows up, and they it seems like it's going to be a fun time. He's like, he's going to ride go-karts. He's going to do all this stuff. But when they get there, they found the camp has been sold. Ben Stiller's parents are in this, and they have sold the camp. They were the owners of the camp, and they have sold it to Tony Perkis. Well, really, Tony Perkis' dad, I guess.
Yeah.
And he is going to exploit these children's fatness to make an infomercial.
Yeah.
And Ben Stiller's just this high level douche.
Yeah.
But one thing, they kind of like tease his backstory in this, and they never really go through. They never really go there like I want them to.
Well, it's funny because like they mention it throughout that like Ben Stiller, like he says it like, oh, I was a fat kid too at one point, and I, was teased and had no friends. But then sometimes it's like because of the way his character is that true, or is he just making stuff up? Is he that kind of person who just makes up a whole lie of a backstory to get like his way? Like, because he almost feels so phony and so kind of like in his own head that like you don't know really what he's saying, if it actually does actually exist or what. But I kind of still kind of get from it that there is one line where like they say, either he says or they say, but like that he's like a single kid who grew up like, homeschooled, like all like that kind of stuff. So you could say, oh, well, that makes sense. Cause generally mostly anybody who's homeschooled is always off a bit. Like I haven't met a whole lot of people that were like fully homeschooled that were normal. They might not be bad people, but they're never normal. They're always off. Even if they are kind of nice people, you go, something's weird about this person. Oh, you were homeschooled your whole life? That all makes sense now.
Yeah. They all work at Chick-fil-A here. Like it's just like what they do. Like, you're homeschooled, you're gonna work at Chick-fil-A for a little bit. Like that's how it works.
The social cues are always just jacked with these people.
Yeah. I felt like they were setting up for Tony Perkis's redemption arc is what I thought they were gonna do. Like he's gonna be like, I used to be fat, now I'm not, and then he like loves the kids and everything.
No, not Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller doesn't get redemption arcs in the old days.
No. It does feel like that's what they were setting up for, or they were setting up to make you feel sympathy for him, but it never really goes there. He's kind of like the Joker, the Dark Knight. He just says, yeah. Is he making this story up? I don't know. I know where I got these scars. But yeah, it's kind of a little bit similar to the Dodgeball character. But also very different, but it's one of my favorite Ben Stiller roles.
Oh, he's great in it and so on like that.
Yeah.
And even one thing too is I think about, because this movie has like, when I was watching it too, I'm like, oh, I actually have kind of conflicting views throughout both things, because okay, Ben Stiller's character like he's overly obsessed with working out, and I go, okay, well, I can relate to that because I'm overly obsessed with working out too. But then I also I relate really well to the fat kids, like, because I guess I was the skinny kid growing up. Skinny kid always pairs well with a fat kid. I don't know what it is about that, but like you almost kind of like, or for a fact you're probably into the exact same things. Yeah. And a skinny kid can generally keep up with the eating habits of a fat kid. Like that always seems to work too.
Yeah, that's my brother. Super mega high metabolism, could eat anything. And I was like in the middle.
Yeah,
I was like, sometimes I would lean toward the fat kid way. Sometimes I was never a skinny kid. I've always been kind of broad and stuff, and played like football, like size. But I kind of definitely towed the line between both for pretty much ever. And then I would play sports, but then I was also in acting. I was an enigma.
A little mixed match of all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
I know it's one of those ones. Like I look at these kids here, and like I go, you know what? These are all the kids that I probably would be hanging out with, and I could relate to. Like in a sense, like I know for a fact that if I was going to have the best of times, it was going to be hanging out with the fat kids.
Yeah, that's probably pretty true. I mean, I was there probably a lot too, except for the fact that I did like sports, but that's so many of my friends that were fat were really good at sports. So it's just
well, that's the thing I always remember is like big guys a lot of times were like the best. Like, there's a handful of guys I knew growing up that like for pitching for baseball, like the best guys were the biggest guys. They all they had like the natural power and strength.
Yeah, it's just there's some things a little bit of beef helps you out with. There's some sports where it doesn't. Basketball's one of those sports usually. Usually. There's exceptions.
Well, unless you're going to be the goon player or something on a basketball team.
Yeah, or like you're like Nikola Jokic, who plays for the Nuggets right now, and is just so aloof, hates the fact that he's an NBA player. He doesn't give a shit. Like, this is he's my favorite. He won the NBA championship, and he's like, oh, I have to get to a parade. Like, oh, fuck this shit. He hated it.
It's like Adam Sandler and Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's really this guy in real life. But so they go to this camp, and it's been absconded by Ben Stiller's character, who is the douchiest of douche nuggets, and he's got a sidekick named Lyle, who is speaks like this. He reminds me
Lars.
Lars. Did I say Lyle?
You said Lyle.
I meant to say Lars. Yeah, I'm very tired, y'all.
Yeah, Lyle from George's Jungle.
Oh, yeah. What is that? That's a Disney thing.
Yeah, it's a Disney thing.
There's something to that.
The douche characters all have the L names, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that is it. But Lars is, you know, the thing is with that accent, I don't think they could pin down where it was. So one of my favorite things about this movie, so clever, is Kenan Thompson asks, "Where are you from?" He goes, "I'm from far away," or something to that, or a foreign land or something. So he never gives a definite place on where he's from. He just is going for kind of weird, pretends to be straight, but maybe metrosexual / androgynous European something, and it's just big summer blowout. It reminds me of the character from Frozen. That's what he sounds like.
Kind of just like that, you know. Well, I feel like it's one of those ones where they like tell him like, okay, do a German accent, and then since it kind of like shuffles throughout the movie, they're like, we'll just play it off as you're from somewhere in Europe.
Yeah, just from far away, and the way he says it, you know, it's an inside joke. Like it's so. Oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever seen that guy in anything else. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, he's probably in something, but you never know.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of your group of people there. You have Ben Stiller and his guys, and then of course you have Gerald and his friends who, they're just very stereotypically fat, like they're hiding candy. I feel like they would actually have more candy there than they would at home because everybody brought all that contraband, so they'd actually be sharing each other's stuff and probably actually be worse off there. Yeah,
exactly, because this was more the danger zone. The other thing that's kind of funny is like this is like that early time period too, where like it's just right before like the era where like the fat kid would be kind of associated with like TV and video games and all that stuff. And it's like none of that stuff's in this movie, which is kind of weird to think about.
Yeah, that's actually kind of nice, actually.
I mean, it's nice that it's not in there, but like it seems like, it's not like, oh man, we're just gonna hang out and like I feel like it's like any moment now, it's like, oh, we're just gonna hang out and play in 64.
Yeah. They instead of making them video game junkies, they just make them addicted to food.
Yeah,
like none of them are like have a good reason to be in this place, but they just want to eat shit all the time. You're struggling like I am, aren't you?
No, it's just my eyes. So,
I'm barely awake. I'm like,
I just still have this terrible eye light sensitivity thing that sometimes when I'm looking at a screen or anything movie wise, I just start to get the blinks. I don't know what it is. So
the blinks. I'm barely holding on, and I don't know. Is this any good?
I think we're still rolling well.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I know we're probably a little bit tired, but I think it's still chucking. I think we can still go.
Yeah. We'll try to wrap it up in like 10 minutes because I'm barely holding on. Oh man. I meant to bring my coffee up here and I forgot to. Let me think about where we're at. So you have you have all the kids and you have the kind of little bit of a love story in there.
Mm-hmm.
With a lady named Leah Lale. I've seen her. I looked through her IMDb. She was driving me crazy. I feel like I've seen her in something else and I could not figure out where it was. It was driving me absolutely insane. But maybe she just reminds me of somebody. But Leah Lale plays Julie. Oh, by the way, Tom Hodge is the guy who plays Lars.
Okay.
Which he actually looks like he would be at the heavyweights camp now.
He's traded roles.
Yeah, he has traded roles. And Paul Feig plays Tim. I've seen him. You've seen him in a billion things. They have a little bit of a love interest thing going on there with Tom and Julie. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Pat and Julie.
Yeah, Pat.
Yeah, Pat. It's Pat. And Pat, I love that Pat character, and he's like the perfect person to run the camp, and he's like really uplifting and all that stuff, and gets along with the kids and cares about the kids. But man, that haircut was driving me crazy.
Oh god! Well, the funny thing too is like a handful of the characters in that movie all have that same haircut, just like you comb it over just a little bit. You got kind of a whip on one side, and then the other side you got like that British fade going.
Yeah, what was that? That haircut was not doing him any favors. That thing was bad.
No, because even the skinny guys got that same kind of like haircut going on, and then there's a couple other characters. I was like, man, this is just the '90s middle-aged man haircut at this point.
Yeah, like I had a bowl cut in the '90s, but I was also, in elementary school, like at this time. So,
and you weren't
like,
combing it over, I guess.
No, I wasn't doing that. But the way that comb over was like it was like receded to like the middle of this head, and then he was combing it from there.
Yeah,
and
that's what I mean. He's got like those British lines back there, and then it's just one of those ones. It's just like either have it fall forward or just comb it all the way. I don't know what to. Yeah,
if he would have shaved the side of it, it would have been like one of those woke haircuts.
Yeah, he would look like one of those girls who's trying to look tough.
Yeah, if he would just shave the side of it, it might have worked out for him actually a little bit better.
Yeah,
just go protest something, just anything. So yeah, that haircut was really, really bothering me, but I like that guy. I've seen him in a lot of other stuff too. The love story thing is kind of weird to have in there.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. It's kind of weird. It's like, yeah, you're focused on these kids, and then it's like, here's this like kind of love story thing just for Pat to have, as he's kind of, I guess it's supposed to be that like, hey, here's the guy, here's what these kids will grow up to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so.
You're going to be this kind of, well, what's the weird thing too is because they use sort of like nerdy elements on some of these characters, but without ever using the nerdy kind of phrase. Everything's referred to as fat kid, but there's sometimes some nerdy kind of elements like, oh, they're socially awkward and things like that.
Yeah, they do. And then like they, when they go to the Brainiac challenge, they made them all much smarter.
Yeah, well, there's the British kid who gets real stereotyped. Like, I mean, like, he's literally everything he's got on. He's got like it's like he's wearing like British sport teams. He's wearing everything he does is British. And there's like a French kid too who's got like La Miserable shirt on. He's got the like a whatever. What's the French hat called? It's just so late at night I can't remember. A beret. Yeah. Like they literally they go like real stereotypical of some of those characters.
One of my favorite stereotype moments in the movie, but it was a good one because it was early in when you meet Bill Stiller, and he's obviously trying to be unlikable. So this was intentional, I think. You could be this. You could be a rap artist, and he points at Kenan. Like I was like, really? Come on. And like, you could be president of the United States, and they points to the British kid. But like, he just automatically assumes Kenan's going to be a rapper. Which, if you look at it out of context, like, oh wow, that's pretty bad, but I think that was the point.
I think it was because this guy's so out of touch now, douchey. I even like when they point to the British kid, it's like, you can be president of the United States, and then like they're like, he wasn't even born here. Like the kids are already smarter than Ben.
Yeah. And then he, they have to do the Brainiac challenge. He has to name 5 vice presidents, and I was there thinking, shit, can I?
Yeah, I thought I'm like, that's actually a much tougher question than you would think. And of course, like that kid names like old school like vice presidents too, just to top it off.
They weren't too old, but they were like, Spiro Agnew's, not that far away, but like Hubert Humphrey, he got like I got 5, but they were all recent.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I probably couldn't think too farther back for vice president. Like, let's be honest, you can remember 1800s vice presidents.
No, I can remember back to like Mondale. Yeah, that's about as far back as I can go. Because I think he was a vice president. I think was he Carter's vice president? I don't know, but I can't. Well, obviously, Ford too.
Yeah.
So there's Ford. So yeah, that would be as far back as I could remember because he preceded Carter. But yeah, that was a tough question. I was like, oh shit, could I do that?
Yeah,
kind of bad actually.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. Well, it's like that kind of like. It sounds like it should be an easy question, but then you kind of think about it, go like, well, let's be honest. That's actually a little bit trickier than one would think, unless that you're into politics.
Yeah. I could name definitely all the ones in my lifetime. And a few, like I knew Hubert Humphrey, but that was mainly because the Hubert Humphrey Metrodome where the Vikings play. So the name was always in my head where they used to play. Sorry, they don't play there anymore. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting. Of course, they make the British kid get it. And he goes, "You Americans have no sense of history." And I'm like, fuck you, little shit.
Yeah. It's just, once again, just giving some stereotype stuff going, but that's okay.
I told you about the lady I got into the argument with at work a couple years ago about Americans. She was like, it got kind of heated. She was talking all this shit. It was 4th of July. And I couldn't wait to go take my kids to the fireworks. And she was just like, you Americans just like take your flags so seriously and you take your patriotism so seriously. And I'm like, well, you kind of sound like a sore loser. So I was like, and I was like, but she's like, yeah, you take patriotism so seriously. I said, you guys shut down an entire fucking country when the royal family, who doesn't even count anymore, like they're not even like they get married, they die. I mean, it's a like they have to change the whole fucking currency.
Mm-hmm.
We blow shit up and eat hot dogs. Fuck you. Okay.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Let's have our thing. Oh my
play some Toby Keith songs. Call it a day.
American Girl. Oh, hey, there's gonna be a lot of Toby Keith this year. Rest in peace.
Oh, there's definitely gonna be, yeah.
Yeah, rest in peace, Toby. Goodness gracious. That one still makes me kind of sad. Oh man, America. But yeah, this is a fun little movie. I mean, it really, really is. It's one of my favorite 90s Disney movies. I think it's one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
It has sharper writing than most kids' movies. It's pretty coherent, has a pretty good, pretty good message. It sticks to what it wants to do throughout. It works for being, what it wants to do. I mean, it accomplishes its goal. But I think it does it better than most. I mean, it's not like you have that, blank check kid making out with like a 30-year-old woman, and weird stuff like that in there. So it's aged better than a lot of other ones too.
No, I think so because I think the message is right because the whole thing is just like, hey, you know what? If you want to get fit, do it on your own account. Don't have some douchebag tell you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Make sure you have a good time. You live life to the fullest, and then it even just has, cool stuff like, hey man, the go-karts, like what makes summer camp fun? Like, oh, we got like sweet go-karts. We got this cool, splash blob thing out there in the water that looks actually pretty sweet. I never had one of those when I was anywhere.
I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah, that looks so much fun. Yeah, just this camp actually does look pretty cool. I went to Boy Scout camp when I was a kid, and that was about it. But that wasn't the equivalent of these camps I see in movies.
No, I went to a Christian camp with I wasn't going to go, and my neighbor Randy, who I could write a book about, his grandpa, he was like a pastor or something. It was a Christian camp. He's like, he got me in there. He's like, I really want you to go. And I didn't know till I got there it was because I was there to kind of calm Randy down, my neighbor, in case he got out of control because he didn't do that. And they messed his medications up one day.
Boy.
And all these kids there, most of the other kids there were really sheltered. And we were shooting BB guns and they didn't know how to do it. And Randy and I did. Unfortunately for everyone in Troutman, North Carolina, we knew how to shoot those BB guns. So he was shooting and something happened and he, messed up. It wasn't really his fault, but he wouldn't take another shot. And the counselor was like, no, you're going to wait your turn. And he and the counselor got into a heated argument.
As he's holding a gun.
Yeah. And then so he's like, I'm going to shoot everybody here. Well, these kids are like not used to BB guns and they don't understand the context of that. So there was kids crying and hiding behind logs and stuff. And then so midway through the argument, these kids are all freaking out. They're like, Wesley, come over here. Come talk to Randy. I'm like, that's why I'm here. Fuck. That's why I'm here. I was here to be like to calm him down. That's so I'm over there like Scarlett Johansson and like with the Avengers like, hey, sun's getting real low, Randy.
Yeah, we gotta calm down. Good thing this wasn't like post Columbine and Randy's out there saying I'm gonna shoot everybody in the.
Yeah. Well,
it's funny, it's just like pre 9/11, pre 9/11, when terrorism was fun still, pre Columbine when shooting kids was fun still. It was just fun and games back then.
Oh man,
until somebody made it real.
This is the Bible Belt. Like they're like, well, you got to sacrifice a kid every once in a while to keep your rights. The ROTC at my high school shot a dog.
Jeez,
they shot a Dalmatian.
Oh God,
huh?
Just shot the local fire department's Dalmatian.
No, it was actually one of the girls in our acting class, and the acting class's teacher was married to the ROTC teacher. So it got real awkward.
Yeah, let's say, what was this dog shooting all about?
One of the ROTC kids saw it and was like, oh, that dog was going to come after us. And he had a gun and he shot the dog.
He's coming right for us.
Yeah, it was a fucking Dalmatian.
Yeah.
it was even like, oh my God. So yeah, they killed a dog. That was pretty much the end of in the early 2000s in North Carolina, the ROTC still had live guns on campus.
Yeah.
This is post Columbine.
Yeah, well, once they shot the dog, that was the end of that.
Yeah, I don't think they had it much anymore after that. I don't know where the guns went, but they would go out in the woods and they would shoot. They had we were way behind on that one.
Yeah,
but it was awesome. But we had guns, but we didn't have the blob.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So, but Heavyweights, you've never seen it. It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
one of the ones they still let stay around because there's a few of them, like Rocket Man, that they don't talk about anymore.
Yeah, something happened there.
Yeah, it's bullshit. But anyway, if you want to talk to us about Heavyweights, you can go find us on social media at X. At Via VHS. You can find us on the TikTok if it still exists in the coming future. At Via VHS, and we're all on all of them, but those are the two that we like the most.
Yeah.
And you also go to oldmanorange.com and look at all the stuff Spencer does, and also on the TikToks, doing all the workouts and stuff. And
yeah, I realized by watching this movie, I was like, wow, I have like that same physique that Ben Stiller does. So I could be that like douchebag guy right there. Gosh, it's frightening.
I would like this is one movie I would like to see an R-rated version of.
This reminds me of one of those movies though, that if you had every once in a while, they'll make some of these movies in the last 20 years where they take that concept, it was like that one that came out not too long ago with the three boys in it. Good Boys.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh, that was so good.
Yeah, because that I love that concept. And same with there's also that one with Sean William Scott. God, I'm trying to blank on it. It's just too late in the night.
Yeah,
him and Paul Rudd are in it.
Oh yeah, where the LARPers are in it.
Yes, that movie is a great movie. But what I love about those movies is that's the ones where they literally just take a kid's movie, but they make it rated R. And that always turns out to be hilarious. And you could see where you could take that Ben Stiller's character and make that the rated R movie, with Heavyweights, and it would totally work. Totally.
You know what? This is the most random thing, and I literally jumped out of my chair when I saw this the other day because it was a thing on Reddit, and it was what's an obscure movie quote? From a movie that's not really popular that you use all the time. And somebody said, when the fuck did we get ice cream? And it's from that movie with Johnny Knoxville where he has all the retarded kids.
That line is so funny in that movie.
Yes. Yeah. Because I don't think it was planned. I think that from what I read, it wasn't scripted. Somebody talked about ice cream. The kid literally was like, when the fuck did we get ice cream?
Well, he says it's so real. I remember laughing so hard when watching that movie. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh man. But that's another concept that's kind of it's not the same, but it's kind of similar where you turn it to an R-rated thing. This one, Heavyweights would have been funny R-rated because just the things that Ben Stiller would have said to these kids, come on, you little porkly pussies or whatever. He would have just really, really demeaned them.
Plus, I feel like you look at this cast right here. These are all those kind of kids that would definitely be like swearing at 10 years old. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
100%. Like you can see these kids just swearing back and forth to each other, and it would work.
Yeah. Oh man, Heavyweights. Go watch it. Fun moment in time. It's a classic. You know, all these kids are older than us now.
Yeah.
Well, they were then too, but you know, it's weird. 46. I still can't believe Kenan is 46.
Isn't that bizarre? I mean, this is the other thing I think too is like, you know, they have like that dance in this movie halfway through, and you know they're playing a bunch of like disco tunes and so on like that, and it's like that thing that's like, you know, at that time period, that 70s music was only like just a little over 10 years old by that point. Like, isn't that bizarre to think of? Like that they're pulling songs that are maybe 15 years old.
Oh my god.
You know.
Wow. Well, like what was 15 years old then? Like Purple Rain was like 15, or like no, that was like
less than that. That was like 10 years old.
Years old.
Like, you know, yeah, it's weird to think, you know. And then you go like, okay, now if you go to like, what's the song in 2014? I have no idea, but
yeah, oh my
that's
god.
10 years old. So yeah,
the fuck,
you know. Literally, if you pull the song from the mid 2000s, it would be older than them pulling those disco tunes in 1994.
I hate that you told me that. You've really sent me into an existential crisis on this episode. So anyway, if you want to have an existential crisis yourself, go watch Heavyweights. I mean, honestly, if you just really, you know, want to not sleep at night, you know, and think about your age and, you know, mortality and all, you know, just any type of existentialist type of catastrophe that you could have.
Just picture that middle-aged man SNL skit as he's running down the street, because that's where I feel like I'm going to be at. I'm going to be aimlessly running down the middle of the road with a theme song going. I just know it.
Golly. Oh, man. Well, anyway, thank y'all for listening to Via VHS. Y'all have a good one. Go find us on social media if you want to yell at us, but always, you know, on YouTube, like and subscribe, you know, follow us on the Spotify, all the things that you're supposed to do all of those things. Anyway, y'all have a good one. Via VHS is out.